everyone? We are back with the fourth game of Season 1 of Fogbound League Season 1. Tonight we have Leopard vs. Void with Void on Killer First. Our sets tonight, we have the Lich on DDS, the Ghoul on Blood Lodge, and Doctor on Wretched Shop for our tiebreaker. I have a very good friend with me casting tonight, Telesto. Welcome in. What are your thoughts for tonight's match between Leopard and Void? Who are you thinking might be taking this match out?
I don't thank you for having me here, Ghosty. You are an amazing caster, truly. Thank you for having me. I don't know much about either team, to be honest. Uh, I am, however, excited to see what a Lich gameplay on Dead Dog Saloon could go. What are
Should
your
be a nice
thoughts?
spectacle. I'm interested to see. I've seen a few of the Lich sets on DDS, being one of the standard maps that we tend to see them on, but no perks or add-ons. Definitely makes things a bit more interesting. We do know survivors do not have access to the magic items, which was a very nice thing for the competitive commissioners and owners to do, as the magic items can be very much a luck-related thing and also be a big game changer, especially if you get that lovely mage hand item, but without perks or add-ons, no boots of speed, no spell cooldown, it's going to be interesting to see how it's played out. I am hopeful to see some really good usages with skulls, some nice insta-skelly techs, some good usage of the mage hand. I'm interested to see if the survivors go for the redrop on the lich or if they just take it and try and make another loop out of it, but I'm expecting some pretty low stages, especially if our survivors tonight are efficient with their generators. Right now, we're just chilling up at the top of main. We do have some scratch marks. It looks like our first chase will be beginning shortly. Good call by the Lich to break down this back 11 side door top of main, as it does make that back window vault a lot less safe. But bit of a slow start. We have caught off our ace over here down at the 6th side of the map, so our first chase will be starting. Skellies are coming off cooldown, so we'll have them to use. We send the skulls and get a nice hit onto ace. Ooh, I think we thought that a window vault was going to happen, but really nice Skelly hit there, setting up ace for a potential down shortly. Greaves
Another
Dragon
swing.
Pallet to front of main. Ooh, Telesto, this is looking out to be a pretty strong start. But do you think Ace can hold it up for much longer?
I believe so. If Dwight manages to pop that gen early before even a down occurs, I think they could be in a very good situation here.
Nice little
There
crouch
it
there. Dodge the
is.
Skellies, but unfortunately, the leader could not come in for the body block. Oh,
And that
unfortunate.
first gen
No.
pops.
I don't know. This is looking like a pretty good start for the survivors. We can see on our little HUD that I believe that's our lovely Sable is on a gen with around 75% progress, getting close to 80. Oh, we have multiple gens with some pretty high progress. 3 separate generators with high progress? This is looking a little bit dicey, but Lich can pull up a lot of tricks with these bag of spells. It's definitely not over yet, and we have some good gens around the area. Our
I
3
think we're
gen
about to see our
quite
second gen
nice.
pop here. And we do.
There's our 2nd gen, and we do see that we have a 3rd gen pretty high progress as well. I don't know, Telesto, these survivors are putting up a good performance with their gen efficiency. Might lead to some low stages.
Especially considering that this Lich seems to have only just found the Thalita. So we could actually be in for a bit of trouble here.
Also, that Skelly send on the 10 or 10, 11 side of main, that was quite nice. I believe hitting Thalita on the generator, showing that if you know your elevations with skulls, it can make them pretty hard to dodge, especially if you don't know where they're coming from at first. But Thalita now in chase. I don't think they can make it back around to the pallet. No, they do go down. Ace was unhooked, so no second stage coming through just yet on Ace, but it will be our second fresh hook coming through onto leader front of main. Ooh,
Instantly finding Ace here, a bit out of position. And a short swing. Potential mage fakes the mage hand, then plays it.
Good swing to get that down onto Ace. We do know there's another survivor lurking around, pushes them away so that we don't get pallet stunned. There is a lot of resources still at the outback area of DDS.
I think Ace greeting those pallets very early on provided a huge amount of resources that could still be used for later chases.
Fully agree with you there. As much as there's a lot, it's good to be conservative early on in the game, especially if you've got a lot of gem pressure, which the survivors have been definitely cranking these motors. Good to conserve for maybe first chase, but I definitely expect to see these outback pallets get used very much after this next chase. Good Skelly hit over the pallet. We are giving it back to, I believe this is Dwight. He doesn't make it back around though. That's unfortunate. Hopefully we see someone wrapping for the pull on Ace. Otherwise, if we get a quick hook here and get back to Ace, we may have our first kill at 2 gens remaining. Nope. There it is. Thank God.
You can definitely see the skill this Lich has. Pretty much every Skelly's hit, every Skelly's cast has been providing really good value, either through obviously injuries, but also heartbeats and showing their location.
Good mechanical knowledge of this killer. If you get good with the skellies, you can get a lot of stuff from it. And a nice little crouch by Ace, and we don't get the M1. Oh, I think our Lich was a bit upset, gave the air a bit of a smack like, God damn it, why is this cooldown of animation so long?
Are we about to see Gallows pop here? They
We
do stick.
do.
Oh my.
Questions. Do we think that Sable may be an optimal target? No, we're going for the leader. I'm honestly a little bit surprised by this. If we got Sable here, that would have been our fourth fresh hook. Or I thought we were going to get the re-stun there. Very hard thing to do, though. I've been trying to do some testing on that myself to try and practice it. It's not an easy thing to do, as some people say it is. Being able to re-block the pallet to re-drop it on the Lich's head. How are
Mm,
your thoughts? Do you get to pull it off too often, or have you ever tried the old re-stun Lich after the hand tech?
I've achieved it a total of twice in my entire life, both of which were probably on accident. But it is, when I do try it purposefully, it is a very difficult timing window.
Oh yeah. And it looks like our survivors have decided to let the leader die on hook, so I believe that would be 6 or 7 stages on the board, but 3 fresh is still very good for a secondary win con, so not a bad performance. I don't think we had the greatest gen spawns for holding gen, so I think overall, good win condition to set for our first match. What are your thoughts, Telesto?
I think although the Lich played extremely well mechanically, they did not hold their gens as well as they could have, especially sticking to that greedy ace early on. I mean, it is just a matter of depending on who you're going up against.
Yeah, and with 6 stage 3 fresh, it's still not the worst win condition. That's a pretty respectable result for our first game tonight, and I definitely think that Leopard could contest with that, but if they have some good chases, it could be pretty bad. But as we saw in our recent previous game, during our Wesker set, it was looking like a pretty rough win condition, but the Survivor side almost pulled it back. But we'll have to see. We'll be entering game 2 of our first set on DDS with Leopard being on killer, so stick with us. We'll be back very shortly after a very brief intermission. Welcome back, gamers. We are back with our second game of our first set tonight of Void vs Leopard. Leopard are now on our Lich with a 7 stage, 3 fresh win condition. Not a bad result though from Void's killer, especially being completely perkless and add-onless on the Lich. We saw some really nice usage of skulls, some good usage of Mage Hand, good traversal with the flight, and we did, I believe, see some auras and Killer Instinct with the Oblivion Orb, I believe it's called. So overall, really nicely done by Void's Killer to get the maximum value out of the kit that Lich has on hand. We'll have to see how Leopard goes in our next game. Telesto, you're back with me. What are your thoughts? 7 stage 3 fresh. Do you reckon they're going to take this match or this set?
Hello, Ghosty. It's good to be back. I'm very interested to see how Leopard's Lich fares against Void's Lich from last game. Void's Lich from last game was very good mechanically wise. They seem to have a lot of an idea of what they're doing, about their elevation, when to use their spells well. So I'm interested to see if Leopard's Lich will be able to maintain the same type of uh what's the word, like, pace as Voids.
Definitely will be interesting to see how they go. Lich not being the easiest kill to pick up since he does have so much in his kit to play with. 4 different spells, all with different usages. Bit of an unfortunate miss on the Skellies there onto Lara, allowing her to reach Shaq, but the door is painful and can be a bit frustrating, but we do have Water Tower now, a pretty good palette to have access to. Auto aimed onto the
Unlucky
palette.
swing.
That's unfortunate, but I believe Nia doesn't have too much to work with now. We do have our first gen popping in the background, so we're down to 4 gens. And yeah, I think it's a bit of a slow start for Leopard, but they can still bring this back. Second gen popping, I feel like the pressure might be building up a bit. Telesto, what do you think? Think we're getting a little bit nervous about the game set at the moment, or still too early to tell?
I mean, if it was me personally, I would be terrified, especially considering 2 gens popping, one being main, which is not an easily contestable one, especially for Lich, considering all he has really to get up there is his sphere. But I do think that with just the first hook happening, at 3 gens is going to be kind of fatal if they don't manage to bring it back. We'll see how the rest of the match goes, and with Gallows being such like an important pivotal gen at very high progress, it's not looking good.
Definitely a bit of a scary situation. Oh, a very nice Skelly hit onto Lara, though, over near the 8/9 part of Outback. We are picking the pallet back up. Ooh, that does mean that Lara does have the pallet again to use, but do we get this M1 through? No, we're just short and get pallet stunned. That is tough to watch. I have noticed in the background, we do have somewhat of a 3 gen, not the greatest, but somewhat of a 3 gen that with Lich's Fly can hold on to. It's tough though. Do have very high progress on Gallows. As we can see, V was back onto it since we don't have the regression perks. Not much regression going through on them since we don't have Eruption, don't have Call It Brine or Pain Rares, all that good stuff that we're used to having. And V's has been given that wagon palette by main again, so we have not only the toilet palette, but the wagon palette again. Ooh, I think that the pathing was a bit wrong though. I think we are going to be getting a tag here shortly. But we are down to 1 gen, I think. We've had a gen popping in the background. Or actually, no, sorry, 2 gens popping in the background. So I have just been caster's curse. There goes our last generator with only 1 stage on the board. This is unfortunate for Leopard. As we know, the match continues on. Try to get the best results we can. But it's looking pretty rough. The survivors of Void don't even have to really support the V. They can let her die, and it's still a set win. A nice Skelly hit. Yep, there we go. Very clean Skelly. While V was locked in the animation of the window vault, but as we can see, Void are more than happy to allow V to die. Meaning that we are finishing this game with 2 fresh hooks, 3 stages, which means that Void have taken our first set of the Lich on DDS. What do you think, Telesso? I think that Void's Lich had a bit more stronger skelly usage and had a bit more pressure early on, but it's a tough match to play. Lich with no add-ons or perks. You don't have access to stuff like the spell cooldowns or boots with hands, so that if survivors do try and loop around a repicked up pallet, you can get your tags in. What do you think may have went wrong there?
Well, especially considering Lich being basically add-ons being an important part of his kit, reducing his cooldowns and access to his most important ones being probably hand and skulls. The timing might have been a bit off on their selections, like pre-selecting spells that they would believe to be off cooldown purely based off their, intrinsic idea of their timing. But other than that, I think Leopard just didn't defend their gens as well as they could have. Didn't commit enough chases, and especially with using Mage Hand often to give survivors pallets back, I think was really detrimental. What were your thoughts?
I definitely agree. I think some of those pallet pickups were a little bit rough. Definitely set Leopard's killer back, giving those resources back to the survivors to reuse again. I did see some good attempts of like body blocking with fly on pallets or at windows. I believe the tag on Nia was because of that as well, so are still seeing some mechanic knowledge by Leopard's Hill, which is awesome to see. I just think that for this part, Void just had some stronger chases, and the Mage Hand pallet pickups were, just as you mentioned, a bit too detrimental. Bought more time, and with a win con of the 6th stage, 3 fresh, it was pretty comfortable with the start that they had, and they had the gem pressure to back it up. And once main had gone, they could have literally just started looping main, which would have been really painful for Lich, but it's still not over. That was only our first set. We've still got Ghoul and potentially Doctor. I am definitely looking forward to Ghoul myself, I won't lie. But with that, please stick with us. We're going to go to a very short intermission while we set up our next set, so we'll be back very momentarily.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fogbound League Season 1. We are going up with, I believe it is Leopards. What was it? Ghoul against Void's Survivor Comp. I'm joined with Ghosty, my little Pookie princess. How are you doing, Ghosty?
You are too kind to Lesto. What is all this, like, lovely speech from you? You're just as good. Like, I'm honored to be here with you, and I can't lie. I am super excited for this set. As much as this killer is hated by so much of the community for a lot of reasons, I can't help it. I love this killer personally. There do be a reason I might have quite a few of the anniversary event screenplays on this killer, but I am a little bit devastated. No Rizzo gaming. Poor killer having to listen to that monstrosity of a screaming lobby while we load into the games, but I'm excited. I'm expecting some nice, clean ghoul gameplay, maybe some slingshots to make sure that we're getting across the map at very high speeds. And it looks like we have found our first chase on the V, so this is pretty good. It looks like we are setting up for the good bite at the start, get our, as it's known, free tag onto V, and enabling Enraged. We now have access to our 3 vaults, meaning that we have a lot of mobility at the moment, but in saying that, it is, apart from that, just an M1 killer, so we have a nice vault over with Enraged, meaning we probably get this down. We do have the Crane Pallet though, and we get the stun though. Oh, okay, V. That was really well played. That was looking a bit scary since the vault speed with Enraged is quite fast, but very well played to make that pallet. But it doesn't look like we can make much more unless we can get this window vault on the crane. We don't, so we have our first down coming through, but as you can see on the HUD, we do have 3 gens with some pretty good progress at the moment. Looks like Nia might have let go, getting ready to be in position for the pull, meaning that we'll probably have 2 gens potentially popping pretty soon. Lara has let go of the gen as well, so maybe these gens that were being worked on was a bit close to where our ghoul is hooking, so we do know we have 3 high progress gens, a relatively quick chase to start things off, and we still do have a good amount of time in our enraged mode. The unhook has happened, so what are your thoughts, Telesto? Pretty good chase to start things off. We're still at 5 gens, with one looking like it's going to be popping shortly, but V is once again in chase, so we could be seeing a tunnel out pretty soon.
That first chase with V was very good. Like the early tag using oh the bite that just happened here was like, and it is understandable why Ghoul is hated among the community for his free hits, as they're called, or potentially his buggy auto aim. But I do think that first chase was very good, and especially with no gens popping at that time and everybody seeming to let go, whereas the gens were around that sort of area, I think that was really good securing that first hook. But with two gens popping just now, I think the ghoul could be in trouble.
It is a very scary sound for all killer players that play this lovely game. Double gem pops are always a scary thought, but we do have a very central hook at least, so it's not like we have to really go too far, but a lot of our gens are on the other side of main, and it is a pretty fast split. If we manage to pop that gen that we can see over to the left with the aura, we have a very nice split on our gens for the final pop, and we're seeing that we do have a gen with very good progress. Nia has been called out, but does have a really good tile to play. This is one of probably the nicer ones you can get against the ghoul, especially since once power has been used. It is literally just an M1 killer, but this is probably one of the things that a lot of survivors don't like, no matter how much distance you make, even when you have access to perks like Smash Hit or Sprint Burst or Overcome, the ghoul can just cover so much ground. And with a win of a 50-50, a nice down onto Nia, but our fourth gen has popped around or popped in the background, so we are at our final gen. So it's looking a little bit scary. I was looking to be expecting some outs in this setting since we don't have access to perks, so at the end of the day, we are just an M1 killer. We don't have access to any of our add-ons on the killer side. So we're a little bit weaker than what we would normally be for a ghoul, but I still think we can expect some good stages here. If we get a quick down, oh no, we're letting go of V. Okay, so we might be looking to get another fresh hook on the board just to secure that secondary win con that little bit more. What would you do in this sort of a setting, Telesso? Would you have committed to the V there, or would you be looking for maybe our Lara or Claudette?
Personally, I think I would also be leaving the V, considering the low amount of progress that gen had. Obviously, they're going to be working other gens around, so I think leaving V there was a very good choice. And luckily, being able to contest that, luckily being able to contest that very high progress gen. And as we see, we get the often referred to as the ghoul walls. I don't know if anyone else calls it that, but I know a lot of my friends definitely do. Just being able to force yourself through walls is not a very fun time.
No, definitely something that I think the devs could probably be looking at getting rid of, as much as I'm a big advocate for bringing back kidnap tech, as I loved that tech personally, and it was a nice little tee haha if you got it off. I think the bites through walls really need some work, as it just leads to some pretty crazy hits when it's like, I'm behind a solid wall. How are you biting me through this? Like, where is the logic? What is it? But we have had our fifth gem pop in the background, so we are at endgame. The gates are opened. We do have 3 healthy survivors though, so there is a chance that they're looking to try and get Claudette out of this trial as well, denying those extra 2 stages. They do have time as well, but they have to be careful, because if anyone is to die here, they want it to be V. V gets the unhook, and I think auto aim has just carked out Ghoul, allowing V to go in for some body blocks. I think that they may have just pulled off the save. Lara getting bitten. V still there for another hit tech if needed, and Ghoul is on cooldown for power from that bite. I think they might all be getting out. We will be resulting in a 4-stage 3 fresh. What a performance!
I think that was a very impressive play by the survivors. Definitely taking the risk of getting, I believe it was Claudette off the hook to deny those extra 2 stages and being able to get out was huge for them. What are your
Definitely,
thoughts, Ghosty?
definitely a good play by the survivors. As much as they could have just taken those outs there, denying those extra 2 stages, that could be the difference between a set win or loss. And Void are looking to win this set. If they win this set, I believe they take the match. So Very well played, good body blocks, and unfortunate auto aim on the Claudette on that unhook. Otherwise, I think that may have been another stage secured instead of losing 2 extras. So, well played by the survivors. That was a very nice set.
I completely agree with you there. We will now be entering intermission. We hope that you stay with us and wait for our next set, where I believe it's Leopard or
I believe
Void
it's
go
Void Killer for this next one.
Void Killer for the next one. Okay. Uh, we'll be seeing Void's Ghoul go up against Leopard Survivors, which I'm sure will be a very interesting matchup. Hope you stick around. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fogbound League. Today we have Void's Ghoul up against Leopard's Survivor Comp. I am joined by Ghosty, the man of much value. Ghosty, what do you think for this match?
What in the documentary voice is that, Delesto? Are we running the Fogbound League documentary series? Like, I like it. Really do like it.
I'm
Thank you
secretly
for having me.
JRM's twin.
Oh my god, can I get an autograph, please? Please,
Of
sign my
course.
profile. You are the best. But no, I'm very excited for this. Stages not the highest, so not the most difficult win con for I believe Oblivion is going to be on our killer today. But overall, it was a pretty good performance. We saw the strengths of Ghoul, making it so that if you have distance, you no longer have that distance. Still very sad. No Rize, I'm crying on the inside. I will be having a chat with the league communities about this, I swear, justice for Rize, but I'm interested to see how things go. If we get a nice quick early tag with the quote-unquote free hit, which we do have first chase starting, so we may be getting our free little nom. Oh no, we're nomming the stone, plus 50 rock.
We
Should be
love
talking
big
though.
rocks.
We love the rocks. Doing a bit of Minecraft, getting our mats for our little fortress we'll build later on. Oh, this greed though from Dwight is very nice to see, and it's a pretty safe loop to go around. You're not going to really find that power hit very easily, and it's just buying this Dwight so much time, making Oblivion opt to leave. Very good start, honestly.
I'm thoroughly impressed with the biblically accurate greed of that Dwight.
But in saying that, as we see the downside to biting through terrain, yes, we get our enraged timer, as you can see around Jake's little HUD, the Maroni colored timer ticking down. It does mean we still get power, and we do see the bite coming through. So that's our first quote-unquote freebie hit onto our Jake, putting him into the deep wound. And for those that don't know, until you mend, Ghoul's Enraged is basically infinite. As soon as the mend happens, it goes onto the timer, but until then, Oblivion's going to have a lot of time with power, and now transferring that timer onto the ace, but we didn't get the deep wound bite, so it's a limited timer. We have got our tag though. Unfortunate hit on the window. That would have been a really good down there for Oblivion, and especially if we got a basement hook there, that would have been a nice setup. Shack Pallet now being used. Oh no, Shack Pallet at 5. All of those survivors that don't like it, watch out, but honestly, use it. Send that resource, gain that distance and freedom, basically. And a bit of a dirty setup here with the window vault right next to that filler pallet, allowing Ace to just cop the rage vault, but go straight back into Shack. We are choosing to go back into it though, which is not, I don't think, the greatest play, meaning we do go down. Shack has high progress as well, and it looks like from the HUD, Dwight is cranking another Molotov somewhere on the map, but this is leading to, as I mentioned before, a basement hook, which is a pretty good hook to have since Ghoul does have that mobility to Lesto, but I mean, for that chase, we've gotten our first 2 gens popped, and yes, it's a low win con game, but what do you think? Bit of a slow start, or keeping on pace with the previous game?
Personally, I think it's been a very slow start for Ghoul. That that Dwight at the start of the game constantly greeting that pallet was spent much of the killer's time. So I think he might be struggling with this now. But we'll see how the rest of it goes. He can always turn this around.
Beautiful usage of the 3 volts to get that bite onto the Dwight. Has dropped the filler pallet though, so we could get it gotten away, but it looks like Oblivion may be opting to look back at the Shack, because as we can see, Unhook has come through, so Oblivion can be right here, ready to try and deny that retreat from the basement, but Ace has managed to slip through, but the leader's opting to go right into the corner of basement. Buy a little bit of extra time, but it has led to a trade, which I believe that we only need one more fresh hook to hit our secondary win condition, and our second stage now going on the board. So it's still looking a bit in Oblivion's favor here. We have 2 gens remaining, which is still a good amount of gens to have. We're at 2 hook stages, 2 fresh, meaning we're basically halfway to our tie condition. And if we get another fresh hook, we'll be on par to at least secure our secondary win condition. Unfortunately, Ace here does not win the 50-50, even though that is a very rough pallet to try and win 50s on. Oh, there it is, as I mentioned before, a lovely slingshot tech, but Jake makes it to a lovely pallet along this side of the bot side of the map, so does manage to get away from it there. It does look like Oblivion looks to be picking up the ace, and no one, I believe, has rotated for Thalita. I think that Jake was the one that was looking at trying to get Thalita out of basement, so we have 2 hooks very close by each other. Oops, scratch marks into basement. This is actually looking a bit detrimental to Lesso, I won't lie.
We could potentially see another fresh here. Potentially making this... potentially matching it with Leopard. And if Void wins this here, then they win the set and the round, and then move on to the upper bracket, which upper bracket being a higher skill ceiling could prove a lot more difficult than if they would lose here, but we'll see how it goes.
Definitely a good position for Oblivion to be in right now. They have to get Jake out of basement. They cannot let him die, otherwise it's basically game over. And the big problems for the team, everyone is injured, which you definitely don't want to be on against a ghoul. And as we've just seen, the leader is about to be hooked, which I believe secures Void this set and also the match. This was a very, very close game. I was a bit daunted with the fact that we were still a little bit behind on a tie condition, but these basement hooks have been really problematic. Ace now being pulled from a lock on death hook. This is going to be a kill, so we are definitely past Wincon at this point. But yeah, I think these basement hooks have been really good for Oblivion. And overall positioning as well, always making sure that they're nearby so that once the unhook happens, chances are the unhooker is not making it out of basement. And honestly, the resets were a little bit on the slow side. We've been injured, everyone has been injured for quite some time now, and as much as the ghoul, yes, can get free tags very quickly, you definitely don't want to be injured when versing this killer with the amount of distance he can close up after you like try and jiggy away from a resource or try and make distance. I think it's honestly costed Leopard a lot here, but honestly, it's been very well played by both sides. I was super happy to see Oblivion showing off one of the remaining techs, as you may call them, that Ghoul has in their kit with Slingshot. I swear if the devs remove that, I'm actually going to crash out and riot Behavior HQ. All jokes aside, I love this game. Devs, please know, I love your work. Just please don't get rid of my Slingshot. Fun tech. Let me have my fun. I don't know, Telesso. I think the Ghoul sets tonight have been quite good, and I think we may be looking at a potential 4K1, 4K0. What are your thoughts?
4K1, 4K0 would be huge work here. I mean, especially compared to the last round. I'd say Oblivion would be living up to his name.
Can definitely see why Void has picked up Oblivion. Definitely a nice fit for the team. Fits the vibes, fits the title of the team, and honestly, this Dwight has been cooking this game, winning nearly every 50, really playing the strong resource as well, like that God Rock that we had at the start, buying a lot of time to start for the team. And once again, Oblivion's like, yeah, no, I'm not playing your game anymore. Dwight, I love it. I can't express my hype and excitement when I see slingshots. Like, they are just so satisfying to see. But no,
We all know how much you love your
Dwight,
slingshots, Ghosty.
it's so much fun. Like, just the distance you can cover with it, especially when enraged, it's like, oh, dopamine, pure dopamine, I swear. But oh my god, like, this Dwight, MVP of this match, honestly. bought so much time for their team at the start, really played resources incredibly well. And with that being said, with the leader being our last active survivor, doesn't
This
really have
does
too much resources apart from this little edge map filler. I think we're going to be securing 4K1.
this has been such a stark difference to the other match, considering such a great early game last match, but late game it just went completely downhill. This has been the complete opposite. It has been purely positive correlation here.
Definitely, with that the starting tone, I guess you could say that the Dwight gave for the match, being really good at denying that first free hit and enraged early on. I was looking at a bit of pressure for Oblivion, but I honestly think after that basin hook, it just all went down from there. Really good trades to make sure that Oblivion never didn't have a survivor on hook or in a bad spot, keeping everyone injured. I'm not sure if we just weren't able to get resets in or if they were opting to pressure gens more, since the win con wasn't exactly the greatest, so they needed to have that gen pressure. But my thoughts are you should always try and have at least a few healthy survivors against this killer, especially with how mobile they are and him only being an M1 killer. I think everyone being injured really costed Leopard that game, and Oblivion showed that they know their stuff with this killer. Honestly, I'm a very happy Ghoul gamer myself.
Yeah, once again, I'm thoroughly impressed with how this whole round has gone, and especially with Void being able to take it as well as they did. I know that Mori at the end probably felt really personal against the Dwight, especially because of that early game.
Couldn't
And
agree more.
yeah, I'd feel the exact same way. But
That's
yeah,
satisfying.
that concludes our Leopard versus Void game, with Void winning 2-0. Do you have any final thoughts here, Ghosty?
Very strong performance by both teams, but I think Void definitely showed that they were definitely here, firing on all cylinders. Leopard still performed very well on both sides, really trying to hold their own and really needed that ghoul set, but apart from that really good chase by the Dwight at the start, it just all went downhill from after that basement hook, unfortunately. But still, definitely two teams, I would say, that to look out for in our following games. Leopard will be joining the other teams down in the losers bracket, and Void will be moving through into the winners bracket. But Leopard isn't out of the running yet. They still could make a comeback and make it back up to potentially hit the finals or the semis. So all the best to them. Well done to both teams, and congratulations to Void. And honestly, was a great match to cast and be a part of. And I appreciate you joining me tonight, Telesto.
Much the same. I enjoyed casting with you and watching these games. They were very, very enjoyable.
With that being said, I think that's going to be us done for the night. So if you want to wrap us up,
Thank you, everyone, for listening, watching. We all really appreciate your viewership. Thank you, and we will see you for our next game later.